Hello and welcome to Invincible Season 2, Part 2. As you know, Season 2 was run in this form that they did one half, and then they did a break, and then they did another half. Well, we did the review that way too. We had one half with Hassan, we did a break, now you get the one with both of us. That's what I'm standing by. That's what we're going with. Anyway, so we are going to be talking about Invincible Season 2, the Part 2. I binged the entire thing last night. And we are here to talk about it because I forgot to do it last week. And I did go into the comments section. And I know that some people were there going, oh my gosh, I want to hear Dan's thoughts, which I was like, oh, I'm surprised someone actually wants to hear me talk. But
they all did, Dan. They were all asking for you. They missed our back and forth. This is going to be, I've already heard some of your pre-opinions. So this is going to be a very interesting episode.
And I believe you only talked about the finale when you did the review. So we're going to talk
a little bit about overarching, but I definitely I was like, this is for the finale.
Okay. So basically, one thing I will say, I feel like my experience with it was much different from Hassan in the form that I did binge it. And I did binge it for the job, less when I was ready to binge it. And I think that's a key thing to say because I was watching it with that intent of, okay, I have to make sure I'm remembering what I'm watching, kind of looking at it more in that analytical versus I'm watching something for my own reasoning. Don't get me wrong, though. Didn't hate it. I actually really enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. Forgot how violent it was in terms of, well, sorry, not how violent, how gory it was, because there were definitely some scenes that I like when the Guardians, when it was just Rex, Kate, and other
Shrinking
Ray, and they just, holy crap, when she grew inside that guy and then he still swallowed her. Yeah, anyway.
Horrific.
Anyway, I will try to go through my thoughts on the direction of the whole thing. I will say overall, didn't like how stretched out the Amber stuff was. I feel like a lot of it, I feel like there was something missing. If I remember right, you said she cheats on him in the comics.
They did it super, super, super different.
Yeah, I would actually like to hear that because I feel like they took the same amount of time to do it as they probably did in the comics.
They didn't. They did it. I think they did it better. I think that they did it much better.
I want to hear kind of about that.
In the comics,
I didn't like it.
You kind of have Mark and Eve's romance, like they're not doing anything inappropriate, they're not cheating, kind of building over time. And then you have Mark dealing with those same issues that he was, where he was struggling with Amber, and he goes to Art and he's trying to figure things out. And then he decides he wants to stay with Amber, but their relationship is a lot more rocky. I think Amber in the show is much more steady, in love with Mark, thinks Mark is perfect.
Okay.
Amber in the comics will say the right thing, but you can tell, like on panel, they'll draw her a little bit more sad. She's struggling with a lot of it. She's just excited to be around Mark. But yeah, there's a guy introduced. His name is Gary, I think. And we do see Gary in the show. And yeah, Gary and Amber are friends, but there's a little bit of flirtation, but they're definitely just friends. And then at some point, this is like prior to the Sequid invasion, like they do stuff out of order. And I'm not remembering everything because it's been years for me. But a lot of this stuff definitely happened in a totally different order. But at some point, after Mark gets back from Angstrom Levy, I'm pretty sure this is after he gets back from Angstrom Levy.
Okay.
Him and Eve kiss, and he cheats on Amber. It's one kiss, and then he goes to Amber, and he overhears Amber talking to Gary, and they've gone on a date, like they went on a real date or something. I think Amber was upset because he had just gotten back from Thraxa, and he already had to go back in space to stop the Sequid invasion or whatever. Yeah. So she was really, really angry, frustrated with him and his lack of availability. And she went out with the Gary guy or whatever. And then Mark just breaks up with her. Mark's like, hey, this isn't fair to you. This isn't fair to me. He doesn't tell her about Eve, but he doesn't tell her that him and Eve kissed, but he does say he thinks he may be developing feelings for Eve. So he's going to see where that goes. And they end up having a really amicable relationship. And I don't want to spoil things that happen later, but they have an enduring bond. Like they're close. Somebody does something. Somebody in the comments was like, you're literally saying she cheated when this happened? They're talking about something that happened so much later and isn't relevant to this, and they're an idiot for saying that. But there is a moment where somebody does something, and Mark Grayson, Invincible, goes and he gets angry, holding guy over rooftop levels of like, hey, don't mess around kind of moment. I don't want to
Okay.
spoil what happens, but it's a big moment. So their bond endures. But in the TV show, damn, that Amber Invincible episode. Like I don't like Amber very much, but at the same time, I really
Really?
like
You never talked about that.
I really like Mark, and I like how much he cares for her. And that
Yeah.
whole sequence of events where you see how much she loves them, and they're traveling to that amazing song by David, by the way, that's become my corner of the internet, and definitely I think it's everybody's corner of the internet because that song is trending like crazy and has like 100 million streams. It's people are equating it to Spider-Verse soundtrack's level of incredible music. So that song playing during their like whole romance sequence, followed by Anissa holding her neck.
Dude.
What? Oh,
I loved the Anissa part.
yeah.
I loved that because it was the first time we saw a Viltrumite that was not actively just trying to kill them, and that wasn't Mark and Omni-Man.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
And she, like, legitimately, I was watching, I'm like, I could see how they would win people over.
I could see they could maybe kill her. Didn't know where they were going to go. But the tear going down Amber's face while she's standing
oh
still.
my God.
Mark's inability to do anything in this scenario. He cannot do anything. I mean, truly, like, teeth shattering, like, oh my God, what's happening? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Scared kind of moment. And I think they needed. We needed to have Amber around longer. We're kind of putting Mark in a better moral position. Like he never cheated on her.
Mhm.
There isn't bad blood. I think that this narrative is a lot more clean than the comic one was. It's a lot less
Right.
contrived. And because he loves her so much, and because he's never even thought of Eve that way, despite their relationship enduring and clearly feeling romantic because of how much they care for each other, it's never explicit. You're getting this moment where it's like, oh my God, this is the Joker, Injustice style. Joker kills Lois Lane, tricks Superman. Like this is gonna destroy him. This is your one bad day. This is crazy. Terrifying moment. Oh my God, it was one of my favorite scenes of the whole thing.
It was so good because it was almost like one of those first moments where you see Mark in that moment of this person is going to kill them. I can't reach to them on an emotional level because, like, I feel like everyone else, he's had some sort of way to try and feel like there's a chance. And it was almost like that first moment of he can't do anything. He is helpless. He is weak. Like, really putting him in his place, so to speak. Like, I saw some people in our chat here on Twitch, since we do stream these live at twitch.tv/comicstorian, say, I loved Anissa. I love that moment. Like, not the character per se, but just the significance of that moment, of the seriousness, the severity of it, the implications, because it was also our first real moment of Mark going, I can't protect whoever I'm with. Like, because he clearly had been going through this whole time of, it doesn't matter who my friends and family are, I can always protect them. I'm invincible, basically. And this was kind of that first moment, it seemed, for him of, if someone wants to hurt me through my friends, family, and loved ones, there's nothing I can do.
It cements the whole, we often cringe at the
And then she
superhero's
just
secret
beat the
identity.
shit out of him in like the
it was
most
horrific.
brutal, technical, so clean way of just like that very, very easy to show, oh, I am so much stronger than you.
I can literally kill you whenever I please. It's not my mission to kill you.
Yet it was so perfect that they paired that up. Sorry for interrupting you, by the way, for pairing that up with the Alan buff and showing how much he is so much more overpowered now when he just goes out there and he's like punched in the face. That's not too bad. Like, I'm like, I was so bummed that we didn't get to see more of Alan. Like, I was hyped.
Don't worry.
I was hyped for that guy.
Season 3's got some love in store for you. Don't even sweat it about that, because we're about to get probably one of my favorite dynamics in all of the whole franchise through Alan.
Is it Alan and Nolan?
It might be Alan and Nolan.
Alan and Nolan. It freaking better be, because I could see Alan feels like the perfect person to kind of like soften Nolan up a little bit while also giving him a run for his money a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we haven't talked about the meat and potatoes of the ending here, of like this finale, because you had issue with something that I think is perfect.
Yeah, so I do want to say, like, I feel like a lot of stuff happened in this season. A lot of different arcs went on, and it felt like a lot of stuff to me got rushed. And I feel like it probably is heavily influenced by the fact that I binged the show. And because I had binged it, I feel like I either forgot or they missed showing Angstrom Levy as big of a bad villain as he turned out to be. I get like his whole purpose, like I understand his purpose. He's from so many different universes where Invincible kills everyone, turns evil. There's only one good version. They all get merged. He's got the mixed memories. So he's kind of seeing Mark as all those other versions of Mark. And I guess like now more than I'm talking about it, it's not so much that his character really had any significance. It was more what his character represented to Mark of the significance of there are some people you can't reason with that don't think right, that you affected whether you thought you did or not, and that you're kind of helpless against, as well as I thought you were stronger.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like his entire purpose was, I thought you were stronger.
So here's the thing with that character.
And I feel like, and I correct me if I'm wrong, like, I feel like maybe I also was not led on by people talking about him so highly or so frequently that maybe in my head I saw him more as like, I was imagining more of like a main villain.
So this is what we got to remember.
So
the story is going to continue, but also beyond that, this Invincible is not in the same vein as other seasonal TV shows without story plans, where like in The Flash, a villain lasts the whole season, you know, and then they're fighting little small villains and building up to it. It's not that. This is a world that exists. There is not a big bad that we have to plot and let him get away every week so we can kill him in the finale, right? This is a story where we're fighting each villain as we are getting to them. The Sequids are the final villain until we defeat them. The Serpent People are the final villain until Rex beats them, right? Each thing is the final villain. Angstrom Levy, we tee him up in the beginning, which makes him feel like he's going to be more important, and then he has his moment in the finale. That character was just, first of all, Sterling K. Brown, the greatest vocal performance I've heard in ages.
He
by
did
the way.
a very good job.
He was menacing. He was insane. He sounded crazy. He sounded erratic. He sounded so intelligent. And this is the same guy, you know, we get in episode 1. In episode 1, we have him wanting to do good. The reason he turns into the creature he turns into is because he sacrificed himself because the Mahler twins, triplets, whatever,
the crap out of Invincible.
They were going to kill him. They were going to kill Mark.
Yeah.
And he was like, I will not build my utopia on blood. And then he turns into this creature. So this is an incredible good guy who Mark has accidentally turned into a monster. And he does monstrous things. This storyline plays like this in the comics. This is not different than how it is in the comics. He has his purpose. And when Mark says, I thought you were stronger, he's not just talking to Angstrom Levy. He's talking to himself. I thought you were stronger. Like, I thought you were strong enough to stop yourself from doing this. I thought you had more self-control. Why don't I have self-control? Because in the end, he tells his mom, like, I need to learn to control myself. I can't be in school. I can't do this anymore because Mark wasn't strong enough to stop himself. Because if you look, you can actually play side by side Omni-Man beating Mark into the ground and Mark beating Angstrom Levy. It's the same hits. It's the same.
Like I didn't even need to see it side by side. Like it was very obvious. Like there was a very, very clear parallel there. And I think what you're getting at is it feels almost, because like the more I'm talking about, the more I'm realizing kind of changing how my thoughts are perceiving the show, because I do watch so much other stuff that I think because they set Angstrom Levy up so early that I guess I was expecting him to have more significance on the Invincible universe. Like, I think that's kind of what I was more expecting and kind of felt like I was missing, because usually in anime or stuff like that, if they set someone up that early on, they're doing villainous things in the background. Whereas I felt like with him, it was more, he disappeared and then popped up for a little bit and then disappeared and then and I feel like it's a significant style difference because he really is just a plot device for Mark. At least that's how it felt like for me. Like his
Yeah.
entire purpose was people can be good, they can turn bad, as well as you gotta be careful. You gotta control yourself. Like you gotta not let loose. You can't just go, oh, someone says they're stronger and then become your dad. Cause you can definitely feel the emotion. Cause there was almost like an emotional parallel as well to that scene with Omni-Man as well as
Yeah.
that scene. But
Well, they also don't go into how long that fight went on for Mark. That fight
that
went
was
on
another
for a
big thing
long
for me.
time for
Yeah,
him.
like it felt very sped up, but for him, like
So
it had
during that
lasted
Agent
so
Spider
long.
sequence, he's not just in the alley. Him and Spider-Man in the actual comics went on. They had a whole team up with the Avengers, and it ends with Spider-Man webbing Mark's foot to go
Yep.
with him to try and help him. And that's why you see the web left on the foot at the end there, right? So there's a lot that Dan. Don't look at the chat. These fools are spoiling things by accident.
Right.
Chat, somebody say a
I've
bunch of
covered
things
it.
and
Don't
cover it
worry.
up, please.
I've
Don't look at the
covered it
chat
with
anymore.
something.
I saw that and I was like, no. But they're definitely there was more time that passed. So that fight was longer. I think that you just have to stick to it. You got to stick to the show. I think there's a lot in store for this narrative that is the sprawling thing that is Invincible. Because
Right.
Omni-Man left at the end of season 1, and I bet you were kind of shocked when we're seeing him on Thraxa, and that we're not done with Nolan, and that he's gonna have this powerful, impactful moment and all this other stuff. So Invincible is really good at world building. There's a lot of seeds that are sown now that will not matter or won't become relevant things until like probably 5 seasons from now. That level of like we're doing this beforehand. So I would stick to it. I think your criticisms are fair and valid. Did you catch the Fortnite crossover?
Yes. I loved
Amazing.
that they did a small thing for that. That he
So
just
funny.
came out with
The
yeah.
Dragon's Breath sniper rifle. Yeah, it's so fun. I you
The
know,
Batman part, I thought that was just funny.
that was so
Like
good.
it just fit. I thought it was
Yeah.
a fun moment just because it was like a nice little breather of not everyone's going to fight him in every universe that he's going to. But
Yeah.
also with the Spider-Man one, I love that they didn't even try and change it too much. They're
They
like,
actually
"Hey,
never asked Sony.
Crosstalk."
Well, and it's Josh Keaton, which is his second time playing a parody version of Spider-Man in another universe. He was Agent, or what is he? Black Spider in Young
In Young
Justice.
Justice, that was
In Young Justice, it's Josh
you
Keaton.
know that he's just going to be the spider person of
Oh my
any
God.
project from now on.
Josh
It's
and Yuri Lowenthal are
brilliant.
the definitive voices of Spider-Man for me. Period. Both of them are so incredible. Josh will recently for Greg Weisman, he actually did Greg Weisman, who did Spectacular Spider-Man, who he's doing a Spectacular Spider-Man book right now with Miles and Peter. For a promo for this book, Josh voiced Peter Parker in it, and they had like another actor who sounds a lot like Donald Glover, Miles Morales, and he literally
Mhm.
they did a little trailer issue of it. So he's super cool.
Nice.
But yeah, he was so excited. He didn't just play Spider-Man; he played the jogger at the beginning of the episode as well. Because
I
a lot of
saw that. I paused the show and I do love that Amazon does the like
it's the
voice
best. It's
actors.
the only good thing they do. It's
And
the
I just
one
thought
good
it
thing they do.
I thought it was hilarious though, because when I paused it, it was just when people were like he was jogging across, breathing heavily. And I was like, wait, did they really just give the guy the voice line and just go, this is who was breathing heavily during the joggers?
You know
And
what
then
it
he starts
was?
talking, and I was
It
like,
was
oh,
well. I think it's so funny because they had announced Josh Keaton was going to be in this beginning of the season.
yeah.
They teased Spider-Man the crossover book in the trailer. Then you start the episode, and then you get this. And you're like, oh my God, it was a bit. They hired Josh Keaton to voice the jogger and nothing
Mhm.
else. And then it ends up being Agent Spider, who Spider-Man fans have really taken to him. There are already mods in like all the Spider-Man games to play Agent Spider in like the
Love it.
PS4 Spider-Man thing. It's awesome. And Josh is a friend, and we chatted about this actually, and he has been sitting on this forever now, and he has been so excited and ecstatic to share this with it. So
That's
the fact
awesome.
that fans have been as loving and like excited about this. It's been really special to him, really special for Spectacular Spider-Man fans. So that was cool. I think those little moments are really funny. There's the Walking Dead one. Like Robert Kirkman made The Walking Dead, so there's a little Walking Dead reference for you.
Okay, that makes a little more sense for that one then. Okay, so I gotta ask you, how do you? Because I'm kind of mixed on this. The fact that Invincible has this really big habit of killing people, but they don't die. For example, like Rex literally getting shot in the head, the shrinking ray literally getting crushed and eat swallowed, and like stuff like, and Alan. When earlier I was like, cool, makes sense. Like I get it. They're doing stuff like that. But now it's kind of reached this point where I don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like some people get actually killed in ways that seem a lot less violent or dramatic or impactful than people that don't get killed or do get. It's almost like they're going too much with it. Like, I legitimately thought that after Rex got shot in the head, beat the crap out of the guy, and then fell on the back of his head, I thought they were going to go, oh, he died when he fell on the back of his head, but somehow survived the gunshot. Like, there's stuff like that, and I don't know how I feel about it, because I like when there's impact and people. This is going to sound so bad. I like when people actually die sometimes. And I like when I know what's going on. The Kate one, that one I liked because I kind of suspected that this whole
Yeah.
time.
I
Like
mean, you'd be
it
dumb
felt
to
like,
not. You'd be dumb to do it any other way if I'm
exactly.
Kate, you know?
Like there was no way in my head that that the real one was there, because the fact that there's no way she would know which version was going to get killed and which was like that one made sense. And so when she got killed, I was like, okay, like they're clearly dead. Like that,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like do you
Here's what I'll say.
just like am I just being stupid?
Here's what
Like,
I'll say. This is a building narrative, and season one, it's not, again, it's not regular syndicated TV where they're writing seasons of television. This is one of the very few things that we've ever gotten where it is a comic book, one-to-one, with changes made, adapted into real media.
right.
Very, very different. So what I will say is that, without spoiling anything, they're building this world out. They're building these moments out, because it is very impactful to have a character you really like Rexplode, die almost so graphically in front of you, and then he's back. It's like, oh, this is kind of cheap. It's not. Take it as they're luring you somewhere. They want you to feel safe.
I will say with Rex, I knew he didn't die from the gunshot. The spot that he got shot, I knew he didn't die. Like it was so obvious that they were doing like that part of the brain where you can, yeah. That made sense. Totally fine. I guess my biggest thing with it is that it's harder to tell. And I guess this also impacts with the whole I thought you were stronger. It's harder to tell when a character's going too far.
Yeah.
Like that. I think that's kind of my problem.
Here's what it is.
It's hard to know how severe someone is beating the crap out of someone when I look at something and I go, that should kill them. Oh, it doesn't. But then someone else does something and I feel like it's weaker. And I guess the whole I thought you were stronger really emphasizes that you can do these things and something that would kill one person doesn't kill someone else and vice versa. Like I get it. And I just,
we gotta remember power structure in
so
this universe.
So many people died, but didn't die in such a short period of time, I think is my problem.
Well, no, that's so fair. I would just say wait and let this story play out. You got to remember, the Invincible world has people that are Superman level, and they have people who are Batman level, and they have just about everything in between, right? Rex, I don't think they've gone super into his backstory, and I don't know if they'll use the same one in the comics. I'll say in the comics, he is very similar to Adam Eve. And Adam Eve is also a person with like really crazy power sets. We had the Adam Eve special kind of tell us about that. So what I would do if I'm you, I just keep watching, keep writing it out. When you feel as though someone's going too far, they are going too far. And whether something changes that doesn't mean if Mark were to have died when Omni-Man was beating him at the end of season 1, I
know Mark's never going to die. His
right.
name's Invincible.
Is it?
Oh, okay. Hold on. Quick pause. One of my favorite lines. one of my favorite lines was Rex, sorry, after getting shot, I go, I'm practically invincible.
No, that whole thing was so great.
I
His
love that.
voice acting was so good. Oh
Dude,
my god, that guy's so freaking good.
Adrian Pimento. I don't know the voice
Pimentos
actor's name.
Mementos,
He's
man.
so good. He's so
That
good.
guy's insane.
So good.
Yeah. So I mean, outside of what the criticisms you're raising are fair. You have to experience the rest of the story before you post judgment on these, because I think you'll
Yeah,
be pleasantly surprised with how the story pans out, because
yeah.
we've been building. You got like these 2 seasons have been Mark's origin story. I know
Mhm.
it feels weird because he already has the suit in the comics and he's already doing things, and that feels like that's when a superhero's origin happens. His origin is happening now. Who he's going to be and how he's going to be is happening kind of in front of us. We're getting a lot of
Mhm.
characters in backgrounds that become so relevant later, that hold so much purpose, that right now are like literal background extras and things. Okay, future. How did you feel about the sequence where the future Guardians of the Globe saved Mark?
I really liked that. I liked that I kind of assumed they probably were going to, and I liked that they show up and robots like I just love that robots like, yeah, luckily by the time we found you, like 3 time machines had been made. So I thought that was great. Yeah, I did like it. I thought it
Yeah,
was really good. I liked that Eve had her moment because Mark's clearly so dense that he didn't see it, and we needed that little kickstart.
yeah.
I like that nothing actually came out of it yet,
Yeah,
too.
in the comics they do it so differently. This is when the cheating kiss happens. So
I
now we get this like far more vulnerable, human, real moment. This isn't the time to get all hot and heavy. This is the time to sit and mourn and to like live in this moment, you know?
Yeah, like I overall though, I thought it was cool. Like, I mean, there was nothing. I didn't feel like there was anything too crazy from it, except that I just thought it was. I really liked the fact that they had spent that entire time searching. Like I thought that was cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm glad they never gave up on him. I'm glad that a different version came to get them to really show like that significance of he had been gone for so long. I like I liked and disliked that they didn't say anything about their timeline.
Yeah.
Because it kind of would have been nice to see a little bit of wait, what happened without Mark there? Like,
You
if
got
they
some glimpses of it. If you listen to their dialogue, and I don't want to point out what
did they say that the Viltrumites take over Earth? Did they
they
imply it? Did
I don't
it?
want to say anything. I don't want to say anything.
Okay,
Because I
okay,
know what happens and everything, but
that's fair.
I do think that there's some stuff said that you should question and you should read into. I would go back and watch that scene if I were you and just kind of give it a
Right,
once over, and maybe you'll catch something that you may not have the answer to, but you'll certainly be questioning now, like, what does this mean? So,
right.
um, yeah, I really like these discussions because it's very fun. You have such valid criticisms, and I wonder if I would have had the same had I not read the comics after I watched season one,
Right.
because I really do just love the show. I love the voice acting, the music, the voice acting stuff. It's so crazy.
It's
Stephen
super
Yoon,
good.
J.K. Simmons
Jeez.
delivery on that line. I think I miss my wife. Oh my
Dude,
god!
that
What?
hit hard. I was like,
Whoa!
"Yes!"
Whoa! Why did it hit so hard? Why did it
It
sound so? I'm. I
God.
think I miss my wife. Like the way he says it, you can hear his feelings in it.
Mhm.
What? What?
God,
We can
so
hear
good.
feelings now. Okay. All right, everyone. We hear feelings. It's just huge fan of all of this. I'm so excited for the next season. I think you're gonna have a field day with the next season. I think we got to convince Benny to watch it with us next
When
season.
have they announced when or
They
if
haven't, but they said that this was the longest break that they will ever have between seasons. That's what they said.
okay.
Because we waited years, so
Yeah,
preferably it'll come out next year. Um,
hopefully. Okay.
there have been some leaks, so I'd be very careful. Somebody had leaked character models and things to come, so I've seen a lot of that stuff already in my timeline. And yeah, it's some stuff is ready to go. There's actually a character from the comics, and without spoiling who it is or what, the character's face looks a lot like the actor or an actor in the real world. It's like, oh, obviously this is going to be played by this guy. What the hell? Like, because it's literally his face slapped onto it. Because a
That
lot of these actors are modeled after their characters. Kind
Oh yeah, I really like that, and I do want to. You saying that for some reason reminded me of the one scene, and I loved the fourth wall break when he goes up to the person at Comic-Con and
So
he's
great.
like, "Oh my gosh, when are you coming out with the next season?" Well, and he just starts like explaining fourth wall of how they do the budgets and how they like do the panovers, and they're literally doing it as they do it, and then the detailed face where they're like, and sometimes we do a close up where it changes and we go so detailed that it almost feels like a different show. Dude,
They
I
did
thought
that.
that was just so perfect.
Here's the crazy thing. That is an adaptation of a scene in the comics that's about comic book art. It's literally
That
it's
makes
like
it so much better. I really like that they are keeping those things, and I also like how they are keeping like the not collabs, but the crossovers and hints. They're keeping them there and they're altering it for legal purposes, but they're keeping the core, like the Agent Spider, like the
yeah.
Batman. Like I really appreciate it. I like this. I think this is probably the best example of like a comic book animated show that's being told and done the same way manga and anime is done.
Yeah.
And I
Adaptation as opposed to
yeah,
extrapolation, right? Where often
exactly.
Endgame and Infinity War are loosely based on the vibe of a comic book about a similar story. Only thing in common is that this weapon is used in said story.
Right.
This is an adaptation of a book that was, had really well written moments, had some not well written moments where they're trying to do this story justice while taking it up to a level that is better. That definitively for me is better than they do in the comic books. People have their issue with it. Like a lot of fans were really angry about the sequence that you just say you loved, the fourth wall break about the animation, because they're like, you guys are literally just being lazy. It's like, no, this is an
That's
adaptation of a scene in
that's
the
what makes
comics.
it so good though. That's the laziness is what made it so good because even he says, yeah, sometimes like we just get kind of lazy and we just show the back of their head and
Or like
pan
have
over the
just their
crap.
eyes.
I
Yeah.
love that he's like, we pan around a zoomed out photo and it gives the illusion that they're moving, but if you pay attention, no one's actually moving. Like it was just one of those ones where it doesn't hurt. Like I guess I could see if you're watching it week to week and you're like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this," and like a good 10 minutes was them joking about how long it took. What? And so I could kind of get that for people who were complaining at the time, but for me, when I went through it, I just thought it was so funny. I I
And
thought that was too good.
couldn't tell you if this is true, but we have a decently reliable guy in the chat telling us that they were just renewed for 4 and 5 as well, because they've already been well into production with 3. I think all the voice acting is done for 3 too.
Okay.
So they're hopefully
Heck
we'll get
yeah.
this soon and we can get some more Invincible.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this. I like that they're clearly moving as well into I'm assuming a new suit, which is why they're breaking the black Invincible into the blue Invincible. I've seen pictures of
Okay.
his
Yeah.
next suit, so I know that blue is the theme. I thought we were going to see it. Kind of glad we didn't.
Yeah.
I think putting it at the end would have taken away from so many different things. And I have a feeling it's going to be very influential in his mindset change. It feels like he's probably going to get this new suit when he kind of gets out of this very low period he's in right now. But I think we've been talking about this for a while. I like the more we talk, the more my brain's going to go, "Oh, I remember this random moment, because I'm terrible and I don't take
You're
notes."
not terrible and you like the show. I think it is. I think this is a show that you can sink your teeth into talking about.
Yeah.
This show is like old school MCU for us, where we could just theory spin at the end of a movie for the next 10 videos on theory spinning without being stupid with it, like actual practical theories. And Invincible, I know the plot, so I kind of get to cheat and I can't say as much as I think, but this show is incredible, and this conversation shows it. Like Dan felt rocky towards the show, and I think through this conversation, I think you maybe are like liking it a little bit more already.
I will just say, for those of you watching this, if you enjoy a show, or even if you don't enjoy a show, if you have someone to talk to about it, definitely do, because talking about this definitely has kind of changed the way that I'm looking at some of it through what you've said, as well as through what I've said and realized what I'm saying, like kind of that out. Because
Yeah.
yeah, a fantastic show. I thought it was fantastic. I am excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely.
And I will say, Rex, hated him at the start. Dude grew on me so much after getting shot in the head.
He didn't just grow on you.
Exactly.
He just grew. He just grew.
His moment when he came back and like saw his life flash through his eyes, and he's like, "I was a real shitty person." Like, dude, that's yes. But anyway, guys, we are absolutely. He is Hassan. I'm Dan. Be sure to check out more stuff here at the channel. We're going to be putting a lot of stuff out. I don't know what is going to go out, where this is being taken place. So very generic comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.